Well, good evening, dear pipe pals and gals. Holy Smoking Pipe Padre coming back at you with another video. Hold on a second here. I hope that's good. Okay, there's the green. All right, there's the green light right there. Okay, so how y'all doing? It is May, and my May video, because I think I have neglected, sorry to say, my video for this month. I've been so, well, I'll tell you about it in just a second. Okay. So much for my TikTok lip syncing video. Okay. Or is it Instagram? Or is it TikTok? I don't know. Okay, so before we get started on this May video, okay, so I am smoking a long overdue. This is a long overdue thank you to Matt and his lovely bride, Monica, I think, yes. So they sent me about 2-3 weeks ago, unexpectedly, I have to might add, a little surprise box there with some Boswells. Boswells, yes, Boswells. And yes, I know it's spewing ashes. I'm smoking it in my squash tomato, my Dunhill squash tomato there. Nope, not going to say it. I'm not going to say it this time. And I am drinking some coffee with some delicious ground coffee from Tahoe House, some nice ground beans, and with a little bit of heavy cream. And so I'm smoking, though, as you probably some of you saw this already, the sweet tea. And of course, now they're from Boston, I think, Pennsylvania. Okay, Pennsylvania. So they're Northerners. So. But sweet tea, that's definitely a drink from the Virginia and Carolinas and down them southern states. And I've always been wanting to try this. And so I like the aroma, or at least in the pouch, does smell like sweet tea. And it has a very sweet, tobacco-y flavor, but mild, but flavorful. Now, drinking the coffee with it probably is not maybe the best pairing, but it's not the worst. Actually, I know what some of you are thinking, and I just thought about it myself. Having actual sweet tea with the sweet pipe tobacco, that might be. I should have planned this video out just a wee bit better. Yeah. So, excuse me. So, I've been a little under the weather. Just getting over the monkeypox. Just kidding. But I did have some either some kind of an allergy or some kind of a cold. I think it was more of a cold. Allergies are just, well, I can tell the difference. And no, it wasn't a rebound of COVID. I think I can tell that now too. I think the thing about COVID is simply this, is that when you get normally a cold or a flu, it kind of goes in an arc. It has a trajectory. And you can kind of, gauge where you are in the process of that illness. it's kind of predictable. I mean, you've been, if you're my age or a little younger, possibly, you probably realize there's a certain course. Ooh, that's good. I got rid of that, whatever that was. Probably a bug. A certain course that a cold or maybe a flu takes. So anyway, but the COVID, that was completely different, and it kind of went like this. It just went everywhere. One minute you think, okay, I'm going through, normally I get like a scratchy throat, and it goes into a sore throat, then it goes into the post-nasal drip, and then it starts sneezing a lot, and then it's just constantly sneezing, and then the sore throat goes away, and then you just get all this mucus, and anyway, you feel the fatigue, of course. Anyway, but eventually it goes a certain point, and it dries up basically, and it just comes to an end, and that's the end of it. But the COVID seemed to kind of like just go everywhere, over and back, and you think you're getting over it, and then it goes back, and it was just the weirdest thing that you ever had. So at least in my lifetime. So anyway. And then my back went out, and I kind of think that it had to do with, and although I didn't overdo it this year, I've been walking every day now for about a little over 8 months, and for the most part, I've been kind of on more of a carnivore type diet. I have a little bit of salad, not much, but just enough. And mostly meat, whether it's beef, lamb, chicken, and I really do kind of enjoy that. And it seems to be, having some positive results. But right after Easter, actually before Easter, I kind of reintroduced, and I know I shouldn't after 6 months, wheat products in the form of a pizza, actually 2 pizzas, and a couple of cakes. Yeah, so even though that was like 3 weeks ago, I think it takes about 10 days before it begins to manifest that stuff. They say that the wheat is just one of the worst things for arthritis. And when I am doing the wheat products, whether it's the pizzas or the sandwiches or the breads or cookies or cakes, man, my arthritis just gets so inflamed, and it takes another 2 weeks to get over that. So, and right now I'm still kind of feeling sore in my back. I'm not totally crippled up, but there were 2 days right after the onset of those symptoms started again where I could barely walk. Oh man, it was terrible. So started kind of getting over that, and we had some priests that were visiting. Interestingly enough, from the Diocese of Alabama. Well, they were from Alabama. I don't know what diocese they were from. I forgot the name of the diocese. Anyway, so nice guys. They were staying here for a whole week, and they were on vacation, but they helped out saying morning mass all last week, which was really nice for me. It was kind of nice. And it gives the people a break. Gives them a break. I have no problem saying mass in the morning for anybody, but at the same time, I'm a steady diet. They have to, in fact, I think most people just kind of have already learned how to just tune me out. It's like, oh, there he goes again, and that's just him, or, when's he going to be done, kind of a thing, So, again, it's just part and parcel of being a parish padre, and so. But anyway, these guys were nice. But I was going to say, what was I going to say about them? I had a point I was going to make about those guys, and now I forgot what I was going to say about. Well, maybe it'll come back. Well, they're from the South, and so they do drink sweet tea. Actually, they don't. The one guy said, I know I'm a Southerner, born and raised, but I just never acquired the taste for sweet tea. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I was going to say. So I bought them some cereals, and I don't know about some of you, but like sometimes you're just tired and maybe a little little low or something, and you kind of think about your childhood years, and you think about things like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and cereal, And so, the other night I was running late and had another evening service to go to. We had a 75th anniversary, one of our sister parishes down the street here, around the lake actually. And the pastor invited me to come and gave me a nice special vestment as a commemorative item. I thought, well, that's awfully thoughtful. Anyway, long story short, when I came home, I just didn't want to cook anything. Didn't have much of an appetite, although I was just a little bit hungry. And I thought, you know what would be quick and easy? A bowl of cereal. Yeah, cereal, wheat cereal. And all I'm going to say is, I'm finally figuring it out. And anytime I do any kind of wheat, my arthritis just, it just goes through the roof. So anyway, I had about 2 or 3 bowls over a course of about 4 hours of that wheat cereal, and it tasted good, filled me up. Went to bed pretty good, but man, I woke up with a sore back. Man, I tell you, the inflammation was really bad. So anyway, that's my own fault. I blame myself and no one else, so there you go. Yeah, I thought I'd just get on here. I don't think I made a video for May because, again, the last couple weeks I've been sick. Yeah, I'm tasting that sweet tea for real. Yeah, that's sweet tea. Yeah, I kind of like it. It actually kind of has a little bit of a tannicky aftertaste like sweet tea. Sans the sugar. Who knows? And I know they make tea without sugar, so, and it is getting to be summertime up here, so maybe I'll think about switching my brew of choice to some iced tea from now on. Yeah. That does sound good, I think. I'm thinking. So, like I said, this is probably my May video, and it's late. So, those of you who are wondering, where'd that guy go? He was starting to make a lot more videos, and I was, and maybe I still will. But it just like I said, I was under the weather, and I just, didn't feel good, and didn't have a lot of energy, and my back was killing me. So anyway, so I thought better get something up there, let people know I'm still alive, still here. And I also, basically, I wanted to share my thoughts on the latest controversy. Some of you may have heard. Yeah, I'm not in the Archdiocese of San Francisco, but I'm in one of the sister dioceses adjacent to San Francisco, Sacramento. So Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, which I think is Italian or Latinish for Lionheart, or Heart of a Lion, or whatever, came out with an instruction telling Nancy Pelosi, because of her stance on abortion, which is completely at odds with the 2,000-year-old teaching of the Catholic Church, that she should not present herself for Holy Communion. And so I made a video today, but about 4 hours after I made my video, which wasn't very good, I have to say, on my other channel, my homily channel. I found this wonderful video from Michael Knowles, and I'm going to play that now.
The Archbishop of San Francisco has informed Nancy Pelosi that her public support for abortion constitutes a grave and mortal sin, and therefore she is not to receive Holy Communion until she repents, confesses her sins, and receives absolution, as the Church has taught consistently for 2,000 years. But the self-styled devout Catholic, Nancy Pelosi, has rejected her bishop's instruction, just as she has rejected other essential non-negotiable teachings of the Church to which she allegedly belongs. Pelosi's behavior has left many people confused, which is why we are so fortunate to have noted theologian and doctor of the Church Whoopi Goldberg to help clear up the finer points of Catholic theology.
The abortion rights battle is starting to blur the lines between church and state. The Archbishop of San Francisco is calling for Speaker Nancy Pelosi to be denied receiving communion because of her pro-choice stance. He's one of the priests who also called for President Biden to be denied sacrament. This is not your job, dude. That is not up to you to make that decision.
Okay, we have to stop right there. We will get to the rest of what she said, but we have to stop there because maybe Whoopi is confused, or I don't know. That is literally his job. that it is his job to make that decision. That is what a bishop is. That's what a bishop does. Whoopi Goldberg might not know that because she's not Catholic. No one is really sure what Whoopi Goldberg believes. She has said that she feels Jewish, which would explain why she took a Jewish stage name, but her name is not Goldberg. That's not the name she was born with. I think it's Johnson. She's not Jewish. She doesn't practice Judaism. Nevertheless, she, a fake Jew, is now going on to pontificate on Catholic Eucharistic theology.
What is the saying? It's kind of amazing. But, what is the point of communion, right? It's for sinners. It's for sinners. It's the reward of saints, but the bread of sinners. How dare you? How dare you? That is, if Pope Francis says that that's the issue.
Now, despite Whoopi's slam poetry, and regardless of the media's favorite one-liners from Pope Francis, that's not what the church teaches. The church teaches, and has always taught for 2,000 years, that before receiving Holy Communion, Catholics must confess our mortal sins, and we must repent and then confess, and then we can receive communion. Sometimes we sin and we don't make it to confession. On those Sundays, faithful Catholics choose not to receive communion because if we did, we would, in the words of St. Paul, be eating our own damnation. Now, listen, you might not believe any of that. You might not believe all of it. You might not believe any of it. Nancy Pelosi might not believe all that. Whoopi Goldberg might not believe all of that. Okay. No one is forcing these people to be Catholic. If they think that it's all a bunch of baloney, why are all these libs so insistent that Pelosi be allowed to receive communion in a state of unrepentant mortal sin? If they think that the church is wrong, and not just wrong, but wrong on essential teachings, unchangeable teachings, like the teaching on abortion, then why do they care so much about the Catholic sacraments? The answer is clear. Leftism is its own religion. Abortion is its sacrament. And the libs want their blasphemy blessed. I don't want to bore you with Catholic theology. I do have to correct what Whoopi Goldberg is saying, and I know that it's probably the biggest news story going on right now because you finally got pushback against the Speaker of the House of Representatives on this essential question of abortion, biggest topic in the country right now. But I don't want to bore you with Catholic theology if you're not interested in it, you don't have any desire to become Catholic or practice the faith or anything like that. So then why do all of these non-Catholics take such a big issue about it? Why? Why does Whoopi Goldberg care? Why does Pelosi care? Why does Joe Scarborough care? Joe Scarborough, very much not a Catholic, just took to his soapbox on MSNBC to excoriate the Catholic Church for enforcing its 2,000-year-old teachings.
This past weekend, the San Francisco Archdiocese has banned Nancy Pelosi, who we're having on the show tomorrow, Speaker of the House, from receiving communion. She's a staunch Catholic, but because of her stance on abortion, they've banned her. We'll be asking her about that, but this is where we're going with all of this. A lot of opportunities for the Democrats, but a lot of challenges.
Mika, the Catholic Church, really, the priests in the Catholic Church really do have a lot of room to stand on their high horse and be self-righteous towards parishioners who have been faithful parishioners for decades, who actually stayed with it through a crisis where priests abused thousands and thousands of children and passed children around from one church to another church, from one diocese to another diocese. It went all the way up to the top, and they are being self-righteous and telling Nancy Pelosi that she can't take communion. They should thank God that Nancy Pelosi has remained a Catholic through their torrent of the most grotesque sins imaginable.
The Catholic Church should thank God that Nancy Pelosi an unrepentant sinner who is flouting the essential teachings of the church, is violating the instructions of her bishop because of the sex scandal in the church, which obviously was real, but as studies have shown, sex abuse is no more prevalent in the Catholic Church than it is in any other religion. And it's certainly no more prevalent than it is in the secular leftist society. It's actually much less prevalent. Children are much, much, much more likely to be sexually abused by teachers in public school than they would be by a Catholic priest. The numbers are not even close. And furthermore, why does Joe care? Why is Joe getting so worked up about this? Why is he getting worked up about a bishop of a church that he does not believe in enforcing the teachings of that church, the consistent 2,000-year-old teachings, on one of the parishioners, on one of the other nominal members of the lay faithful, of, again, the church that Joe Scarborough does not belong to, of the faith that he does not believe in? Why are all the libs so bizarrely obsessed with Nancy Pelosi being able to break the rules of the Catholic Church, and in such a way that will actually harm her mortal soul if the Catholic religion is true? This is the question for me with Pelosi. This, to me, I think dispels all of the media-contrived pity party for Nancy Pelosi here. Why does Pelosi so badly want to receive the communion in a state of unrepentant mortal sin? If the Catholic faith is true, then what the Archbishop is doing is helping Nancy Pelosi. It is for her protection. And we know Nancy Pelosi, just when she went to Mass in D.C. on Sunday, she received Holy Communion in contravention of what the Bishop of San Francisco, her home parish, said. But if Nancy Pelosi does not believe in the Catholic faith, if she thinks the Catholic Church's teachings on abortion, which go back 2,000 years, which remain unchanged and, according to the Catechism, unchangeable, you can never change it, then that means that Nancy Pelosi thinks that the faith is false. If Nancy Pelosi thinks the faith is false, why does she care about receiving the sacraments? She doesn't believe in the sacraments then. So what's it to her? If, on the other hand, she believes that the faith is true, then surely she should follow the faith, and the faith is true on this unchangeable essential teaching on abortion, and she should repent because she's imperiling her soul. She should do what the bishop is telling her to do because the bishop is trying to help her. Maybe the Catholic faith is true or false. You know, I think it's true. Maybe Nancy Pelosi doesn't. Maybe you don't. Whether it's true or not, whether Nancy Pelosi's faith is sincere or insincere, the craziest thing about this whole controversy is that there is no circumstance, there is no combination of any of those things in which Pelosi's actions are justified. It's so I wondered to myself, why? Why is she so insistent? Why is Joe Scarborough? Why are Whoopi Goldberg? Why are they so outraged by this? It is because you're seeing a real conflict of religions here. Christianity versus leftism. And it's a battle between these two faiths, a battle between these two churches. And what the libs are demanding, what the pro-abortion people are demanding, is that the Catholic faith surrender. And Christianity broadly, surrender. That's what they want. Abortion is the sacrament. As Peter Kraft says, abortion even uses the same words as the Holy Communion. This is my body, except to a blasphemously opposite meaning. And what the libs are, the reason that all these non-Catholic liberal people, heretics, schismatics, apostates, all these people, the reason they care so much is that they are insistent that their blasphemous sacrament of their unholy religion of leftism be blessed by the spiritual authority that's existed for 2,000 years. I'm glad.
Okay, so want to salute there, a little, tip of the hat to Mr. Knowles for, I think, an excellent job on distilling authentic Catholic teaching in regards to the Eucharist, abortion, and communion. And I just thought he did just an excellent job, so that's why I played that video for you. Essentially, I think Michael Knowles hits the nail on the head, is that in this world we live in now, with wokeism, woke culture, the people that are screaming the loudest about Roe v. Wade being overturned. And isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that the people that are advocating violence are the ones who advocate for violence in the womb? No big surprise, really. But it is interesting because, the people, a lot of times people think, well, it's the conservative people who are trying to force their beliefs in an irrational way upon other people. And you don't see a lot of, or you don't see any conservatives or Christians or Catholics, or let's say all conservative Catholic Christians, getting up and saying, if Roe v. Wade is not overturned, there's going to be hell to pay. We're going into the streets, and you don't see them yelling and screaming, that we're gonna take this to the streets. We're gonna burn down your cities. We're gonna, I was gonna say we're gonna kill your kids. Well, they're already doing that with abortion. Thank you. The pro-aborts are. So, but you don't see conservatives in any ways, shape, or form doing that. You don't see them protesting, unlawfully protesting, and threatening at the homes of Supreme Court justices, which is a federal crime, but they won't uphold it. Just like they won't uphold the travesty that's going on at the border, just absolute mayhem at the border. Joe Biden has now completely played his hand that it really is, going to try to be the president that's going to outlaw and ban all future fossil fuels, sending the world, not just our country, into economic ruin. Just absolutely crazy stuff. All this crazy stuff, all this wokeism is now bubbling up everywhere. And, it's, I guess, part of me wants to take a step back, and I'm trying to be objective about it, because I did live through the 60s. I was a young preteen, 12, 13-year-old when the 60s were in their full bloom, with all the hippies and the flower children and the smoking of the hippie lettuce and the taking the snorting of the devil's dandruff and all that kind of stuff. And I started thinking, well, where did that lead us? Well, it did. In other words, did the flower children, did the hippies, did they take over the culture completely? Well, no, they didn't. For the most part, they didn't. But they did have an effect, I guess, on people's personal morality. So I don't know where, because wokeism, just like all these movements, they kind of go beyond the pale, and then they have to kind of, the pendulum, swings back, and, things like the tide, it rolls in and it rolls out. So right now we're kind of in that tide rolling in and doing a lot of damage. But eventually it'll recede. Wokeism will recede, and what will we be left with after that? This woke wave finally goes, recedes and goes back. I don't know. Maybe just more people more comfortable, I guess, with perversions of all kinds. Sad to say. Will we actually see, this Orwellian kind of a structure that basically outlaws decency and morality, Christianity, religions that disagree with certain viewpoints? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I'm all for individuals choosing, how they want to live a certain way. That's in this country, there's kind of a real fine line between, religious faith and our constitutional liberties. But what we're seeing now, by and large, are people who do have alternate lifestyles, and they are now forcing other people whether they like it or not, whether it's in the schools, in society, in their religion, even in their own homes, you must accept our agendas. You must accept our pronouns. You must accept our identities, and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, okay, you guys have completely abandoned science and biology. Hey, if you want to wear women's clothes and you're a guy, that's on you. But then to force people to say, well, I believe that men can have babies, or men, you better believe that men can have babies, or some men have vaginas. What? No, that's bizarre. It's absolutely ludicrous. What planet did these people come from? Now, I know that TikTok and Instagram, that's just where a small segment of wokeism pretty much lives, or at least expresses itself. Let's just put it that way. And I don't know how many people, a lot of this is, maybe I'll go ahead and end with this because I don't want to make this too long because I got other things to do, folks. I like making a presence. Some of you like these videos. God bless you. Some of you really hate these videos. I say God bless you too, okay? So I don't want to go too long because I have to put these together and it takes time. And I got a new Mac Studio. I think I told you that may be my last video possibly, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. There's some bugs in it. There were some bugs that were Apple bugs, and they fixed them. So I'm happy about that, although I found workarounds, so it's like, okay. But they came back and fixed them, and that's good. But some of my plugins for the new M1 Silicon are not recognized, and now I got to go through the process of either reordering those plugins or figuring out how to fix them. So, but I just don't have time all the time. I've just got so many other things going on. The guys that were here last week, even though they were, kind of on vacation, and God bless them, but you're a host and you got to go do shopping and maybe cook a little something I cooked them a meal, the last meal, and maybe go get them a pizza and go get them some stuff, make sandwiches and do their laundry and things like that. So, I'm trying to be a hospitable host, and I think I am for the most part. I didn't grumble too much. Of course, they didn't see me grumbling, but I did a little bit, just a little bit. But anyway, so, and me being sick, so I guess I've been sick and then doing the hotelier kind of a thing, because sometimes it feels like I run a hotel for a breeze sometimes. So anyway, but as I was thinking about all this wokeism, and I remember something that happened in school when I was, I think, in high school. And believe it or not, even back when I was a high school kid, early Devonian period, we still cut up and we still pushed the envelope. We weren't like all goody two-shoes, all straight-laced and prim and proper and all that. And, when you get to be a teenager, you push, you test the boundaries. We all do, okay? But here's the difference, and this is the crucial difference. But I think it's changing. I think it's going to be changing soon. I think it already has. And I remember one time I was in a class, and the teacher basically said, "You stay after. I want to have a word with you." And I was saying smack during a class, comments. I was making these off the wall, off the cuff. And I thought they were oh so witty. They were pretty stupid. And the teacher basically let me know that, you know what? You think you're so witty and so talented and you're nothing. It was like, ugh. And they basically said, you need to knock it off. You need to stop right now. And I walked out of that classroom with my tail between my legs, but it was a good lesson. And I think a lot of young people, and a lot of these people that are the weird woke people, and they're the most embarrassing ones are these middle-aged people that think they're being so hip and so cool, or so with it, or so woke because they're parroting and aping these young people because they're trying to fit in. But those people are kind of, they're a lost cause. But what happens is a lot of people deep down inside, especially those of us, and I was one of those class clowns. I wasn't a very good one, but I was a class clown. I was a kid looking for the attention. And eventually what happens is, and deep down inside, kids like us, kids like those on TikTok, they're wanting and they're waiting for an adult to say, that's it, you're done. Knock it off. Enough's enough. No more. And I think, and I'm hoping that as the tide of wokeism begins to recede, that eventually, now whether, I don't know what the aftermath is going to be of wokeism. I don't know what things will remain. But again, the way it's going, it's sort of like, I think, and I'm gonna put this out there as kind of a fact, I guess, or some way to substantiate what I'm saying has validity. Okay, what is it, 2 years ago? Yeah, I guess it was 2 years ago when all the riots were going on with BLM and George Floyd, and especially in Portland, Oregon. And I think it was Portland where they tried to set up their own anarchy government. Good luck on that one. Yeah, that's an oxymoron. And how long did Chaz, I guess they called it the Chaz, or whatever, I forgot. I think it's what they called the Chaz. And, how long did that last? How long did that last? About, 10 days maybe? In total anarchy, total chaos, the fruit of anarchy reigned. And people started, I think even a few people died because of medical problems, because, no matter what your utopia you think it is, people are still going to get sick, and they're still going to need medical attention. They're still going to need firefighters. They're still going to need police. They're going to still need all that infrastructure. And when you try to say that we're going to make our own world now, we're going to change the world. Yeah, well, didn't work out too well, did it? So I think if you look at the failure of Chaz, I think that's what we're going to see when this whole woke wave recedes finally. There'll be some goofiness left over. Be some people that are going to be, demanding their pronouns and all that stuff. But I think most people are just going, it's like anything else, it will pass. COVID, wokeism is sort of like, this cultural pandemic. It eventually passes, but something else will take its place. Now, some people might say, yeah, but it'll just be like wokeism too. And I'm going, well, just like any movie, if you watched any sequels, most of the times the sequels, with a few exceptions, Wrath of Khan being one, the sequels are absolutely horrible. They're terrible, And they just don't have any traction. They do horrible at the box office. They go into DVD, or now they go into just, syndication, right? And just like, it was just like, it was there and it was gone and forgotten, So, and the reason why I think it won't last and it won't have much of an effect in the long run is because most of this stuff is not based on science or biology or even common sense or common decency. Please, stop pretending, Look, human sexuality has always been a bugaboo, probably for everybody, if you're honest, one way or another. We all struggle with whatever our sexual issues are. And, some of those things are really best left to our private lives and trying to work it out with our spiritual directors or pastors or priests, ministers, our therapist, whatever, maybe a close friend, maybe our significant other to some extent, I don't know. But to be parading around all these weird things and trying to make them good, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this now because I probably don't, I don't know if I want to get into it on my next video. But next month, June is Pride Month, and I'm sorry, Now maybe they've toned them down, but the pride parades used to be extremely graphic, let's just say, very in your face. And I just can't see parents taking their kids to that and saying, "Oh, isn't that wonderful? Look at that." I'm not going to mention what I'm talking about. Most of you figure out what I'm talking about, and all these other symbols. Okay. I just think that, I'm going to be honest, it's nasty. It's just, even if it was heterosexual sexuality just being blatantly, you don't need to see that. It's just not necessary. For children especially, and for young adults and even adults. I mean, come on. Why don't you celebrate something beautiful and wholesome, Have a pet parade. Hey, there's an idea. Bring out your kitty cats or your doggies or your pet ferrets or whatever, have floats that, have, a big kitty cat, or a puppy or a doggy or a bear,
Dad, a giant bear just in the house. I love the giant bear.
Oh, no.
I love bears. I got to be honest. I love bears. Celebrate something that everybody can just have a good feeling about. Enjoyment, pure enjoyment. People having, their pets in a pet contest, or just, and again, your own private pet parade, and you got your cat or your dog or your horse or your donkey, your chickens, whatever, and you're, and you're saying, I love my animal. I love my pet, What a wonderful thing that would just be, and kids could go to that and look at the animals. Maybe they could even bring out some zoo animals for people that know how to professionally handle those kinds of animals, It'd be an enjoyable parade, and everybody could participate to the extent they felt like they wanted to, and they didn't have to be into the kink stuff, the nasty stuff, It doesn't have to be like that. Again, when we talk about the rainbow flag, originally that was all about, guess what, folks? It was all about Noah's Ark, the new covenant. God saving the animals. I might be onto something here. I'm just saying, So anyway, but celebrating, I'm sorry. I just don't know if it's necessary. Okay. One guy got mad at me. He goes, "Oh, you're talking about killing gays," and I said, "I'm not." No, I said, I'm telling that I have Christian friends, I have Catholic friends who were gays, and they came out, and they're living a different life now. Okay, and again, I'm just telling you that that's people that I know. And again, I don't have a hatred towards somebody who is in the LGBT community. But I do have a problem when the LGBT community tries to tell me that you can't believe you're in your faith anymore because it's against what I believe, what I think. And now, not only that, we're going to come to your church now, and if you don't support Roe v. Wade, we're going to burn your church down. Okay. And last year they were saying, we're going to go and burn churches. We're going to break the stained glass windows. We're going to tear down your statues. Okay. All these threats of violence. You don't hear Christians doing that to the LGBT. Now, we might challenge you guys and gals and say, hey, because there are a lot of people, they don't want to hear this either. The new big flavor of the month is the transitioning folks. And believe it or not, there are lots of people who did the original transition and now they've regretted it, and now they're transferring or transitioning back. Detransitioning, they call it. It's a thing. But you're not supposed to talk about that. Okay, so in my world, you get to live and let live. Okay, if you have a certain lifestyle you want to live, and as long as you're not attacking me or my beliefs or my family or my friends, hey, I got no problems. But the moment that agenda starts to threaten my life, my livelihood, my beliefs, my family, no, we're not standing up for that. Okay, this is where I think wokeism is meeting its wall. It's the seawall. It's going back. Okay? Again, we're not here to hurt anybody or threaten anybody. We're not trying to advocate any kind of violence, but we're going to be like a wall that's going to stand up and say, no more, no more. Okay? Yeah. That stone wall goes both ways, folks. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Keep them, if you can, keep them respectful. I mean, I don't care if somebody disagrees, and they can be respectful, but if you start threatening or you start, just getting absolutely beyond the pale, chances are once I look at it, I'd probably just delete it, and your point will not even be, you're just going to be canceling and deleting yourself if you're like that. I had been walking up, and I've been doing walking every day, and there's a person who don't know who they are. I think I figured out who they are. I mean, I know what kind of vehicle they drive, but as I'm walking, sometimes I hear this "F you," and the first time I heard it, I thought, "What was that? Was that what I thought it was?" And the other day, this guy in a truck, and I finally saw him, and I finally figured out. I think I know who it is. It's a guy who was trying to park here illegally. And I just put a sign saying, please do not park here, church parking only, private property. And, now if that person had come and said, hey, I'm going to be here for a week. Is it okay in the mornings I park here for 8 hours? I probably would have said, yeah, no problem. But I have people in the morning who come in for Mass, and some of them are elderly, and they need to park closer. And this guy was parking in a parking spot that a person who was elderly would have been able to park and be able to have a closer walk to the church doors. So that's why I made the sign saying, hey, please don't park here, But I think the guy he took umbrage. And the other day I noticed, and I just identified the truck. And I went, it's that guy who I told not to park here. Yeah, okay, all right. So the next time I see that truck now, I'm going to be looking to make eye contact, because if he says F you, then I'll go, okay, all right, I got your number now, buddy. I know who you are. And I know where he parks now. He parks on the other side of our church. So, I know who he is. So there's no call for that. There's no need for that. Okay. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for watching, and, blessings to you. And we'll see you in the next video, hopefully in June. All right. So take care, light up your world, and light up your pipe. And as far as the sweet tea goes, I got to tell you, I think I'm a fan. Sweet tea. So thanks to Matt and Monica. And keep on keeping on. Yeah, okay. See ya.